Hello, I'm Scott Hillier, and for the last several months I've been working with Sho and Bruno, and this is our lab, which is a comparison of the CO2 levels in Sao Paulo and Ottawa. So, carbon dioxide, it has a molar mass of 44.01 grams per mole. It is comprised of two oxygens double bonded to a single carbon in a linear formation, and it is held together by van der Waals forces. It's important to note that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. This means that as the Earth is trying to emit heat in the form of infrared rays, carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are preventing this from happening. So, carbon dioxide is a gas that is produced by the decay of materials, respiration of plants and animal life, as well as human-induced combustions of materials and fuel. In Ontario, stationary combustion, that's electricity and heat generation, fossil fuel industries, residential, commercial, all that, is the biggest contributor of CO2. The second largest is in the transportation section. So from this, so more than 15 million tons of CO2 are emitted each year in Sao Paulo, and of this, 68% of it comes from gasoline and diesel use. So from the graph, it just want to mention that land use change, that's the destruction of the natural world of the environment. So things such as deforestation would fall under land use change. So carbon dioxide has a continuous effect of range from psychological to toxic effects on the human body. So the effects of CO2 on a person depends on the concentration and duration of the exposure, as well as individual factors such as age, health, physical activity, lifestyle. So from this graph we can see all the different effects that CO2 will have on a person depending on the uh, concentration within the air. So one important thing to note is that 5% or 50,000 ppm, that's parts per million, is considered to be toxic, and there is a risk of carbon dioxide poisoning, which can lead to death. So from this graph, we can see that naturally we are in a time period where CO2 levels are at high. This, however, does not mean that all the changes in the climate are due to the naturally high CO2 levels. As we can see from this graph, human activity since the Industrial Revolution has roughly doubled the CO2 concentration from where it should be. Carbon dioxide impacts the environment in ways such as heat waves, climate variability, such as ice storms, invasion of foreign species, and loss of biodiversity. Currently, the global average CO2 level is 399 parts per million. So far, the average global temperature has gone up about a degree Celsius, and as you can see from this graph, the levels of CO2 have been rising at about the same rate as the global temperature. This shows a direct link between CO2 emissions on climate change. 91%, that's 33.4 billion metric tons of CO2 are being produced, is coming from fossil fuels and cement, while the other 9%, that's 3.3 billion metric tons, is coming from land use change. And from all this, the atmosphere absorbs 50%, the land 26%, and the ocean 24%.